Hi, Matthew. You all right?
Enjoying breakfast?
Yes, I am. Mike brought me something. He bought me half a bagel about an hour ago, but I've been in a meeting, so it's a bit cold. But
Anything you need to tell me?
no, I don't think so. I'm just trying to make sure that I'm just trying to make sure everybody's in the breakout rooms that I put them in. But,
okay, I'll leave you to that.
It's put me straight into one, but not you and not Dave, but never mind. Oh, that's very strange. Oh well. Anyway, no, I think we're okay.
Good.
I hope so.
I'll try and do as you suggest and get people to introduce themselves in the chat box bit rather than allow people to take up the whole hour and a half talking about them and their jobs and so on. But I'll try.
Well, I think that's the problem, isn't it?
Well, I'm sure people will understand. That would be.
Oh, there was Adrian a minute ago. Yeah. That's worrying because I spent ages assigning people into breakout rooms last night, but it seems like it's not happening.
I've fallen foul of that before. I think if you try and pre-assign, they have to be people within your organization in some way, or got to have emails that are registered in your contacts. Because I had just the same. I thought, wow, I've sorted that, came to the event and didn't.
Right.
It probably, from where we are now, do you think it's probably best just to do it automatically and take potluck?
If it helps, Anne, I was at a Nesta conference yesterday with 500 people on a Zoom call, and their pre-booking of the breakout rooms broke down just as they launched them.
Thank you.
Yeah, they kind of ended up scrapping half of the agenda while they tried to manually assign over 200 people into breakout rooms.
Crikey.
Anyway, hello all.
Right, no.
Hello,
the protocol was in terms of cameras on or off, or if we were supposed to have coffee or tea in our mugs or something stronger.
Something stronger. I've just fiddled around with it. I think so. Adrian, you've now moved into a breakout room, so that's good. Let's see when other people join. I think what's happened is Dave has joined using an email address that isn't the one he registered with.
Oh, Dave, you naughty boy.
So I'm going to have to move. Is Dave there? He might be there. Anyway, I think you must have registered with a Gmail address or something and then joined this with a different one or different account or something.
Yeah,
it's something to do with having an account in Zoom, isn't it?
It is.
So I might have to, when we get to that stage, I might have to, you know, we might have to move as many people as we can, and then I'll move the rest of them manually or something like that. How are you, Adrian, anyway? It's nice to see you.
Thank you. Nice to be seen. What was it showing? No, I'm just kind of scratching my head a bit this week because it's Global Accountability Week.
It's what? Sorry?
Global Accountability Week.
Ah.
So I decided on Monday morning that every day, I treat it as that every day I'm posting across social media one aspect of how I've designed my business model as a sole trader to enhance accountability.
Wow.
Interesting enough, I've already hit upon doing social accounting and auditing as or an adapted version of it for sole traders.
Brilliant. Yeah.
One of those pathways.
Sounds good. Well, you already do some, don't you?
Yes, and it seems to attract lots of, well, it attracts interest from unusual quarters, including other countries. And despite my efforts over the last 15 years of trying to encourage other micro enterprises and self-employed freelancer types to do similar, no one seems to be. So, and interestingly, it's never made any difference when I've bid for contracts to do with social impact or social value, because it's the commissioning bodies have all said, because no one else does it, so we can't make it part of the awarding criteria. Which is why
you've got the evidence though, haven't you?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And it's all auditable if people want to check it.
Yeah.
But, you know, recent announcement by government about the new social value metrics, which seem to be eerily aligned to the TOMS COVID-19 plan.
What a surprise, Adrian, what a surprise.
Although interestingly, I was on the TOMS kind of big webinar show and tell yesterday, and their big chief exec keynote went for 5 minutes before he realized he hadn't turned his camera on. And then he turned his camera on, but lost his microphone for 2 minutes. And then he completely disappeared for 5 minutes. So it was all a bit, almost like a British farce, really. It's quite reassuring. It felt like being, you know, pantomime season already.
Can I just encourage early joiners to go on into the chat function and just introduce yourself there, rather than us all introducing ourselves to the whole meeting, because we won't have time to do that. So just a little sentence or two about you, or whatever you'd like to do, and then folks can see who's on. Thank you.
Something that I've started to do, I don't know, and Matthew, whether it's worth mentioning to other people, this idea of, introducing in chat and afterwards. When I've been doing sessions like this elsewhere, is before I leave, download the chat log.
Yeah, I've done that.
And then I can do networking after the event as well. So because we're not together to bump into on the corridors, we can at least stalk each other on LinkedIn and such like.
You can just mark it, cut and then paste, can't you?
Yeah.
That's good.
Are we going to get you visually, Dave?
Yeah, I guess so.
Oh, no, it's okay. If you've not done your makeup, you know, it's okay.
Good morning.
Again, I'm just encouraging people as they arrive to go on the chat function and put a couple of sentences by way of introducing yourself, please.
Hello. Sorry.
Hello, Priya.
Hi, Priya.
Hi.
Hi, Ian. Ian, you've got your microphone on mute.
Oh, it's easier to lip read. We could just guess the words or mime it. Is it a book, a film? You're probably saying all sorts of rude things about me now, being flippant.
Ooh.
Wow, and you've appeared twice. Oh, you appeared twice then, Anne. That was clever.
I
No, you
know.
have. That's
Aaron's
confusing.
logged in on the
Oh, I am. Mhm.
Hi, Karen.
Hi. I'll change my name on here.
Hi, folks. As you're joining, can I ask you just to go on the chat function and write a couple of sentences by way of introducing yourself to everybody, rather than us. Obviously, we're going to be too many to go round and do that face to face in the main session. There'll be opportunities in the breakout groups to chat more about your work. But, be good to have a little introductory sentence or two from everybody. Please. Hello, Lisa. Hello, Sue. Hello, Ross. Morning, everybody. I'm Matthew. I'm the chair. Just encouraging people as you join to go on the chat function, would you, and just give us a couple of little sentences of introduction about you and what you do and why you're here. And if you've done that, obviously it's good to go and browse and see who we've got.
Oh, bless you.
Sorry.
Morning, new arrivers. Welcome. We're just waiting on a few more folks, so we'll just hold fire for a couple of minutes before we start formally. Okay. we wait a while longer, Anne, do you think? Sorry?
Can do. We did have quite a lot more people registered. We've got about 60 registered, so maybe they'll drift in.
Okay. And can you just make me co-host so I can share screen later?
Sorry.
No, it's okay. I don't need to do it now, but later on. Thank you. Okay.
So Matthew, Penny, Banu, all co-hosts.
Lovely.
Lisa, did you want to be co-host as well?
Only if it's helpful.
Okay. Can all co-host. Right. Recipe for chaos. Brilliant. Okay. Wonderful.
Thank you.
Maybe we need to start, Matthew.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Well, welcome everybody. I'm Matthew Lanham. I'm the chair of the Social Audit Network, and it's just so lovely that you've been able to join our gathering. Fantastic, from people from all walks of life, all levels of interest and expertise in social accounting and audit and impact measurement. We share an enthusiasm, or a burgeoning enthusiasm, or an interest to learn more. And I hope in the next hour and a half we'll feed those desires. Opportunities to hear some stories and some little presentations from individuals that hopefully will inspire your thinking and help you marshal your thoughts and approaches. Breakout groups, chance to talk about particular themes and get a more in-depth understanding. But it really is fantastic that in these weird times that we're all able to come together and improve our own practice, I guess. You know, we all have an interest in measuring impact, particularly, I hope, in this difficult year, or very different year. Welcome. That's my job done. If you've yet to just put a little introduction in the chat box, then please do so. That would be great, and then we'll have that. I know one of you's got to duck out early, but just to confirm, we are recording, so we will share a link to the recording afterwards, so you'll have that to watch if you miss any bits, or to pass on to colleagues if you think they'd be interested. I think that's all that's needed by way of introduction. And so without further ado, I'm going to hand over to wonderful Anne Lithgow, who's going to do a presentation on using social accounting to help build back better. So that phrase has really resonated with many of us, but here we have this opportunity to build back better. So Anne, over to you.
Thank you, Matthew. I'll just try and share my screen with you. Okay. What you don't want to see is the breakout rooms. Right, okay. I just realised. Sorry. There was me. That's my first mistake of the day. I was reading the presentation earlier on, so I'd left it halfway through. So thank you, Matthew. Thank you, everybody. I just want to talk a bit about where we're at now, I work in policy at the Greater Manchester Combined Authority, and one thing we've been talking about a lot at that sort of strategic local government level and with the local enterprise partnership and business leaders is the concept of build back better from the COVID pandemic and the severely depressed economic situation that we're finding ourselves in. So what are we seeing in terms of impacts already? We know there's direct health disparities and inequalities around health. We know that actually there are knock-on effects to health over the coming months and the longer term. So people aren't attending hospital appointments, illnesses are going undiagnosed. There's a huge amount of increasing mental health concerns at the moment that we know about, let alone the ones we don't know about. We know in businesses that there's we can see businesses failing. We can see a reduction in reserves, a reduction in turnover, profits, redundancies, all sorts of issues, and again, deepening in the economy. In terms of society, we know about individual financial hardship and poverty increasing. We can see local authorities struggling, reduced budgets, reduced public services. We can see a lack of concern for the environment. The climate crisis was big in the news, and now all of a sudden there's very little being talked about. Some sort of worry that might be deprioritization of this other big looming issue in our lives. Increased use of cars rather than, public transport and shared modes of transport not being seen as being very good at the moment. So everybody's driving around on their own, in their own car, with huge environmental impacts. So we also know that some of the things at this stage about the impacts of COVID-19 are known. Some of them are unknown. Some of the things you can predict, some of the things you can't predict, but they're going to affect you, your client, or the stakeholders in your business, but also, as it were, your client's client. So the wider stakeholders, the people who are around, the people that are investing in or have an interest in your organisation or your business. But I've painted a really gloomy picture. There are some positives coming out of it. We know, people are much better aware of health inequality and concern for it. And inequalities generally surfacing in terms of, some of the unequal impacts that have been found as a result of the coronavirus pandemic, certainly in the UK. With apologies to colleagues from elsewhere, obviously I'm focusing on things I know about in the UK. But in terms of economy and business, we're certainly seeing in Greater Manchester an increased interest in innovation and more resilient business models. So cooperatives, very strong interest in social enterprises, community business. Also this concept of community wealth building, working with a number of colleagues on the call on some of that sort of work. In terms of society in the UK, we've seen interest in volunteering, mutual aid. Certainly people are changing and sort of caring more local and social purchasing. So a lot of people not travelling as far. Okay, some of them are buying online, but not travelling as far to go to shops or to go to access services and helping out in their local area. And we've seen cleaner air, certainly in Greater Manchester, and an increase in the very local environment. So parks, gardens, open spaces in your local area, rather than necessarily the planet type level of environmental concern. So where are the opportunities in all of this? So around health, certainly we can see improving employment standards, workplace well-being, as being really crucial in some of the work around COVID, but also having a lasting benefit. We can see, the development of more cooperatives. I know a mutual aid group in Manchester that's now turned their let's deliver food to people during the lockdown into a bicycle cooperative that does deliveries for a whole range of shops in their area. We're looking at changes in society, creating better links between businesses and communities in your place. Keeping the green air, making your business greener, a huge opportunity here to actually make changes now. And to tackle inequality. So we've seen these dramatic inequalities in society, but businesses, social enterprises, voluntary sector, community organisations all can be part of making a difference in the future. So why are businesses in the UK thinking about impact? So there is this concept of building back better, so the things I've been talking about already, but there are additional business benefits that you could think about from taking this more sort of purposeful and conscious approach to sharing risk and sharing benefits. So collaboration to build business resilience. We know that some of these cooperative and social enterprise business forms actually are more resilient, they last longer, they trade better than more traditional forms of I call it profit making or extractive business, but there's something about that social and responsible business that means that if successful, they are going to last longer. So looking at some of the new business models, but also looking at as much more of an interest I've found in how we can use things like the Sustainable Development Goals to change our local economic strategy and policy. So certainly in Greater Manchester, we're revisiting all the economic work that was done pre-COVID to shine a light on it and actually change some of the approaches that are taken to how the economy is managed in Greater Manchester. But then it's back to that local people level, that customer habits are changing. People are shopping more locally, they are buying more ethically, they are buying online. There's much more values-based purchasing going on. So what I'm suggesting is that we can all take action on this. So we can prove the value from our ethically accountable business model. We could understand levels of shared risk and impact and enable that collaboration. We could understand how our cooperative principles, social enterprise values, and other purposeful objectives are being delivered. We could understand the impacts that we've achieved for investors and through our supply chain. And we can seek a better understanding of what customers and other stakeholders think about your business. And for me, the answer is using some form of social accounting and audit to do that, because it's a framework that is embedded with and starts with your own organisation. You can run alongside your financial accounts to account for your social performance as well. Or you can integrate the two. I think when Matthew talks later on, quite clearly the social is more important than the financial, but there's a balance and they're integrated. You can use social accounting to report on social, environmental and economic performance and impact. And it's empowering to your organisation. It's about your organisation and the things it does and the difference that it makes, and makes you accountable to your stakeholders in your business and your organisation. So without telling people, because most of you on this call know what social accounting and audit is, but it's a mix of measurement and story. So it picks up the quantitative and the qualitative. And I'm sure, as our colleagues in India have shown us previously, it can easily be done online. So these things that we've been doing for a while, we can continue to do. And I just sort of put a plea in at the end there for independent verification. If we're going to prove the difference that it makes, it does need some form of independent checking, some sort of the social audit, just to make sure that we are rigorous and the results that we publish in our reports can be relied upon. So the next 3 slides, just 3 examples, we'll share the slides. You might want to click through and read their social accounts or hear more about their organisation. So One Manchester is a housing organisation that has a registered social landlord that has really embedded this approach. And then we've got a legal firm. Now, Liz Allen, who unfortunately can't be with us today, one of our directors, has been working with Anthony Collins Solicitors because they've decided that they want to work in a more purposeful way, and they want to shift all their business so that it has some form of direct social impact. And that's quite a huge challenge. How can you run a purposeful solicitors? And it's really a legal practice. It's really interesting example to look at. And then Matthew will talk about the neuromuscular centre later on. So building back better, let's use social accounting to understand the social impact as well as business success, because you can do both using a social accounting cycle and framework. Embed it in our life cycle, use the processes to empower your staff and ensure accountability to all the stakeholders in your business, and use the social audit. And by doing that, that could help you to move into markets that are new to you, to tap into some of the impact investment, to balance your profit and your purpose, build a more sustainable business, and build part of a better economy. So for me, social accounting and audit has to be part of building back better. Thank you. And I will just stop sharing. Okay. So there you go. That's what I think. Now, what we're asking, if that's okay, we're going to break you all up, if this is technology permitting, into a number of breakout sessions where you can introduce yourself to each other. You can reflect on what I've just said, and one of the directors in each of the group will have a few prepared questions to get you thinking about what's been happening over the last 6 months in your world, and maybe things you'd like to share for the benefit of others, some of the learning that you've had over time. Okay, can I move you into groups? Is that okay? Let's hope the technology works here. So I'm opening rooms and you should start to move. Okay, good. Oh, here we go. Has anyone not moved yet apart from me? Jane. Hello, Jane. She's gone. Excellent. Okay. How can I join the room? we've all made it back, but we've lost them all. I'm sure they're coming. Are you all able? Oh, here we go. Can I just check, is everyone able to unmute themselves where they need to? Yep, okay, that's good. It just sent me an error message saying that I'd managed to mute everybody. So
That's not necessarily a bad thing, Anne.
Nobody's muted Adrian though. He's the only unmuted one I can see.
It's because I'm a naughty kid, because I don't want to feel like I'm back.
there you are, I've muted him.
So are we all back, Anne? Yeah?
Yes, I think so. Looks like
Okay.
it.
Okay, shall we move on then? Keep going?
Keep going.
Okay. Can I just say, first of all, certainly from my point of view, I've had a really interesting conversation. I'd like to thank everyone in our group for being so open and sharing. And I think it was, apart from anything else, it's quite reassuring that we, are facing some of the same challenges and recognizing the difficulties, but also the importance of social value reporting and measuring and the work that we do at the minute, and being able to support each other to continue in that, I think, is a really valuable thing for us to do. And hopefully this gathering and what we're doing and having these discussions, we can continue to build on this network to be able to provide that support and to share some of the good practices. So, which leads me on to sharing and hearing from some really interesting and innovative practices from, we've got 3 colleagues with us in the group today who I'd like to thank and welcome, who are going to share their experiences and response to what has been one of the most challenging years. And we have invited them to tell us their COVID story. So we've got 3 colleagues who are going to give us a brief, up to 10 minutes presentation and share their experiences, insights, and then we'll have the opportunity for some questions and answers. I would encourage you to use the chat box as we go, but also, just whenever at the end of this we can raise hands and capture some of those responses. So the 3 people we're going to hear from is our very own chair, Matthew Lanham, who welcomed us this morning. Matthew is also Chief Executive of the Neuromuscular Centre, a centre of excellence supporting families and people affected by neuromuscular conditions. So based in the Northwest, but with an impact much wider than that. We'll hear from Matthew first of all, and then I'm going to invite Penny Anderson from BAM Construct UK, who is Community Engagement Manager with a wealth of experience of working in this sector, and be able to share some of her insights from working particularly on an educational programme for young people. And finally, we have an international perspective, and welcome to and thanks to Marie Banu. So Banu will share with us her experiences of working in India. She's a director for the Centre for Social Initiative and Management, and she's one of our key colleagues working in SAN India, working to support and promote social accounting and audit, not just in India, but internationally. So at this point, if I may, Matthew, can I hand over to you and
you can
take the floor? Thank you.
Thanks, Lisa. Thank you. Okay, well, just a few quick reflections, really. As Lisa said, we're a charity. I've been working here for 15 years as chief exec. I've got a couple of slides I'll share with you in a moment, but really just put it in context. A huge chunk of what we do, as well as a lot of mutual support and friendship and support for carers, support for families, social connectivity. We also provide a hands-on physiotherapy treatment service for about 450 families. So our cohort's about 450 folks. And of course, on 23rd of March, that all stopped. So we've gone 5 months without doing any hands-on treatment. We've gone about 4 months without seeing anybody at our centre. So we're not an outreach thing. We're a centre that people come to. So just to give you a flavour of that. And during this time of where folk with quite severe physical disabilities probably been shielding, have been prone to extreme isolation, even more than they would have been normally. You know, our work has been very much trying to address that. But we've not been able to get to treat people, and we've hardly been able to get to see many people. So that's the backdrop. So let me just share a couple of slides and see if this helps to illustrate. Can you all see that okay? So it's just an introductory slide, just confirming who I am. It's important context, I think, for my talk to say how completely, you could say entrenched, how embedded social accounting and social audit is in the NMC. We've been doing it quite a long time, and we're kind of close to obsessed with it, really. So I put this slide up only to say that we've done social accounts for 13 years on the trot, published in a snappy sort of format, as we've tried to illustrate and evidence the difference that we've made. But this is what we're doing differently this year, or what I'm proposing, and I just jotted down some thoughts, really. Where previously we've done social accounting on a financial year, and we've combined, I think fairly uniquely, we've combined our financial accounts with our social accounts in these booklets that I've just shown you. This year we're going to do it differently. I think financials is one thing, and we're not going to kind of, we'll do what we need to do in terms of producing a financial account. But we are determined to simply do a social account of the coronavirus crisis and the difference that NMC made. So instead of it just being on a 12-month rolling thing, we won't do a 2019-2020 social accounts. So in the format we'd previously done, there'll be a special that will really try and measure what difference we made this year. And I suppose we set out with the ambition this year of keeping people afloat, keeping people bobbling along, as I call it. You know, in previous years, we might have been more ambitious in our aims, and we might have voiced more grandiose ambitions for our impact and measured against them. But quite frankly, in our community, the population that we work with, we really did just want to help as many people as possible not to drown. and not to sink. And so we've been trying all sorts of innovative ways to gather information about the difference that we think we've made, because just a couple of things. So at the beginning, we did a thing called Virtual Families. Whole staff team, randomly, we just took 15 or 20 of our community under our wing, and we rang them regularly and had a conversation, and continue to do that. Come August time, we've got a lovely meadow here, outdoor space. We invited people to take their first post-shielding trip out, to come to the NMC, a safe place, outdoors, meet a couple of friends in a socially distanced way, but have a trip out, have something to talk about. We know that just that little simple thing was immensely powerful. And what we're trying to do is understand, well, what difference did that make? Did that keep a couple from getting divorced or splitting up or embarking on, some major problem? A lot of this, we're focusing on relationships, people's level of anxiety, people's level of depression and well-being, and how have we been able to help. This year, in previous years, I've always done a survey with everybody in our community. This year, we're not going to do that. And the bottom line is what I put at the bottom of this slide. This year, I am determined that social accounting in the NMC is going to be fun, because people need fun. And I don't mean make it silly. I just mean not burden folk with it. Let's enjoy doing it this year. I mean, we've always enjoyed it, don't get me wrong, but let's really enjoy it this year. And so we've put it out there that people will, if you're this way inclined, write us a poem to tell us the difference that we've made this year, or produce a work of art to represent the difference that NMC has made to lives in 2020. So that's my minute's gone, really, and that's what I wanted to convey, really, that different approach for different times. So I'll shut up now, Lisa. Thank you. But if anybody wants more details, by all means, get in touch with me.
Thank you, Matthew. Thank you. Matthew, you're getting lots of really positive response there. People love the creative approach. They love the focus. And for me, I think, yeah, what a great approach of let's enjoy this. Things are hard enough, aren't they? And actually what we can do, the process of social accounting and audit needs to be part of the activity. And I think that is also something within our group. We were talking about embedding and integrating this into what we do. So Matthew, thank you so much for that. We'll have the opportunity for some more questions at the end. Penny, if I may, sorry, you can see my eyes scanning the screen. If I may hand over to you and you can share your screen now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, has that worked? Have I shared the screen yet? Okay. Okay. Thank you, Matthew. That was fantastic and a tough act to follow, but I'll try. mine's quite different, really. So just really briefly, I'll explain who BAM Construct are. We're part of a Dutch owned company which has 10 businesses around the world. In the UK, there's BAM Construct and BAM Nuttall, which you might have heard of. Nuttall is the civil engineering part of the business, and Construct is the construction part. So we operate in construction, properties design, services engineering and facilities management. Locally around Manchester, for the people based there, you'll know we've recently done the Royal Horticultural Society Garden in Bridgewater. We've done the Co-op Head Office, City Football Academy, and various hospitals, schools, etc. So that's just briefly who we are. We have a sustainability strategy which covers climate, resource and people. And what I'm talking about comes under our people part of that, which is around how we enhance people's lives in the communities that we work with. So for us, the challenge we had was, in normal times, we deliver activities on sites in our offices around work experience, site visits, curriculum support and employment support. And from the photos you can see on the right, we deliver those in person. But obviously during lockdown, in a COVID world, it's a very different story. So we had to sort of think creatively about how we could deliver some of these targets that we've got in this time. So we came across an organisation called Speakers for Schools. A client of ours in Camden introduced us to them, and they specialise in delivering virtual education experiences for children that wouldn't generally have opportunities, the same opportunities as maybe somebody going to a fee-paying school would. So we kind of resonated with what they stood for and thought we'd give it a go with working with them. So we had some existing materials around work experience, which we use for students who come and get some work experience with us in these 10 sort of key business areas. So we used the existing material we had, and we developed them further to develop 10 modules which could be used for virtual work experience. For each of the modules we had, as you can see here, for the design one, a discover section and a do section to allow students to really get to know, what one particular career was like through doing sort of practical activities. And we worked with our graphics team to sort of, brand these so they look the part. And we ran our first programme in July, 13th to 17th of July. It was hosted on Google Classrooms, which is the platform that Speakers for Schools used. We had volunteers from the business work on each day who were supporting it. So they introduced themselves and they introduced the career, the module that they were talking about. And then the students went off and they spent the day completing those 2 modules. Then they came back at the end of the day they handed their work in and came back, and then we did some question and answers with them, which were really great sessions. That bit was really important because it helped them to really kind of understand what they needed to ask and what that career was about. We also did an employability session with them and evaluated what they thought before and after the programme. So the students all applied online through a Speakers for School application process, and we had a really good mix on this programme, much better than we would normally on our physical programmes. So you can see, the ethnic diversity in the group was quite diverse, and we had 10 girls, 15 boys, which was, would like more girls, but was a really good start. The students also were from a wide geographical area across England mainly, and we had some real standout students who we see as ones to look for in the future. So we wanted to find, one of our key aims was to teach young people about careers in construction, to sort of give them an insight. And you can see here sort of on the green bars represent what they said before the programme, and the blue bars represent what they said after the programme. So we achieved the aim of teaching them about careers in construction. We also wanted them to think about apprenticeships seriously, not just sort of as a second thought really. So we asked them before what they wanted to do after finishing school. The vast majority said go to university, and then after the programme we asked them what they thought about becoming an apprentice, and some said they were really seriously considering it, and some said they might consider it. So again, that was a big step forward for us. We asked how they felt as a result of the programme, and there was things like confidence had improved, they'd achieved something positive, and they felt more knowledgeable about careers. Just in terms of other feedback, there was one thing that came out of the programme that was really quite powerful, and that was through a conversation we had with one of the students who was always early, was always with us first thing in the morning. And we got chatting to her one day, and she said that we were the first face-to-face contact she'd had since lockdown, apart from a family. So that kind of made us realise that actually we were doing something more than just work here. This, there was a really big impact had on some of these individuals. For our volunteers as well, we asked if they would recommend this programme, which thankfully they all did, and we got their ideas about how we could use this in other applications as well. So they came up with some great ideas and support for things that we need to work on in the future. It was also great for our volunteers to kind of learn from each other. You know, they felt they worked really well as a team, and they could learn how other colleagues sort of worked with the students. So they really felt they benefited from it too. One thing that we learned from our volunteers and from doing it ourselves was that some students didn't want to talk and were happy using the chat box. So when we do future sessions, we'll really sort of have a think about that and think about how we can engage the students more through talking and not just using the chat box. Just a little bit of evaluation. So we had module development, time preparing for the placement, and then delivering it. And you can see that we spent 636 hours on the programme, and we used London benchmarking group data to evaluate that, and that equates to £24,000 worth of time. So for us, the next steps, we've become members of Speakers for Schools, so we're busy arranging a programme of activities for this academic year. We've got 2 programmes running in October and November. It's really made us stop and look back at what we've been doing over the years, and we've got loads of resources that we use up and down the country, but we've decided that actually we just need to bring the best resources together and focus them on developing a really good programme of activities. So that's what we're doing. We run a challenge with our apprentices every year, which is our Enhancing Lives Challenge, and we're getting them to support the programme through the challenge and really connect with students. We're also trying to develop a virtual site visit, so a standard that sites up and down the country can use, so we can offer the same sort of opportunity through Speakers for Schools. Really big focus area for us has got to be diversity. We've not done this as well as we could in the past, but this is a really good opportunity to allow us to work with a much more diverse range of people, both you know, in terms of who they are and demographically, but also geographically. You know, there are a lot of people that can't get to our sites to come and do work experience or site visits, but they can do virtual opportunities, so that's really important. We want to feed into our early careers and provide referral codes for some students that really stand out so they can go straight to interview. And we're aligning what we're doing with Gatsby and things like the CREST qualifications. And just one last point, really briefly. One massive challenge that we think we face as a construction industry at the moment is providing face-to-face work experience placements for unemployed people. So we asked some of our employees how they felt about it and whether they thought it was something they could do. Thankfully, the results were fairly positive. So what we want to do is take the principles that we've learned from the education programme and apply them to supporting unemployed people as well. So having a mixture of virtual and face-to-face placements for unemployed people. And I know I've come to the end of my time, so I'll end it there. Thank you.
Annie, that's great, thank you. And I think it's really valuable for us all to think about all of these issues from different perspectives. So quite a different perspective from your organisation, from what Matthew was telling us as well. But some of the things that have been highlighted, and I think they were key, what you said about how going online, being digital, has opened up the opportunity to broaden your reach and to ensure that diversity is central to planning and working ahead. So thank you very much for sharing that, Penny. And then our last speaker, if I may hand over to you, Banu, if I can ask you to take the floor and share your screen and your ideas. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you so much. So, with SDGs. With SDGs, of course, a lot of research and reports on this topic worldwide, and the nation is reporting, has reporting regularly on that. So I've not touched upon the details of the SDGs per se, but we want to tell about how SAN India is now trying to the SDG alignment in our social account. A couple of things we do is in our.
Okay, sorry, Banu, may I just
check?
I think we have a problem with the sound. Are other people having difficulty hearing? Yeah, it's not so good. Can I suggest, I wonder if we just maybe switch off our cameras? We might be able to hear you a little bit better. Okay, do you want to try again, Banu? Thank you.
Yeah, now is it better?
I think that might be.
Okay. Yeah, I was just telling that how we have been aligning our work with SDGs since the COVID times and adding on to our reporting as well. So from the virtual stakeholder consultations and online audit, this was one more added on innovation or being entrepreneurial, if I would say, that we are reporting now on SDGs for our social accounts. And we have also now developed a SDG matrix for easy computation. So I will show you the matrix later, but if we go talk about the SDGs in details, we are all familiar with these 17 SDGs, and there's much of information available online. We have a recorded session on the entire SDGs, which I can share with the team for you all to have more in-depth understanding of the entire thing. So going forward and talking about how the interlinking of the SDGs are, and when we are reporting, how we have to look at other factors, we could also add on if you're talking about an education program, how it also has an impact on the health or on the gender, on these aspects, but add different value to the report which we are presenting. So the SAN framework already has got reporting on the first three parameters, the people, planet, and prosperity. Now with the SDG alignment, what happens is we are now having this global sort of a reporting happening, and even the donors or the clients who are giving us this assignment is happy to see that they're aligning with the SDG and contributing to a larger economy. So these are all interdependent factors, of course, but then we need to have an integrated thinking so that when we look at the entire approaches or the outcomes, we can say that they are making an impact to the overall SDG goals. So SDG and SAA per se, when we look at, we have got an added section on SDG alignment reporting, which I will show you all now. And then a matrix to track the alignment. And also we have an exclusive training on SDG for our masterclass participants. So this is a sample of the SDG report we did for Madras Dyslexia Foundation. This is being funded by IIT Madras, a top engineering college in India, where this not-for-profit organization looks at identifying dyslexic children at an early age and teaching parents how to identify this. So this is an online training program covering a lot of modules like identifying the spelling and reading and writing levels of these children, and also the listening skills. And they've got this 7-week online course being offered. So with this, what SDGs could a program be aligned with? No, that was one interesting thing which we came upon. And we found that they are aligning to almost 6 SDGs by just having a simple online program to identify children with dyslexia. So if we can look at the indicators, when we say SDG 3 on good health and well-being, this indicator on having the children being made aware or identifying the challenges they are facing, and even equipping the parents to identify the children whether he is dyslexic or not, and understanding that actual condition better, it aligned with SDG 3. Likewise, the quality education, because dyslexic children need special care, they had to have multiple learning options. Yeah, and also the academic performance, the rating, everything varied for dyslexic children. So that we identified as SDG 4 coming under quality education. Again, when these parents are equipped now with the comfort of their homes to identify children with dyslexia and then teach them and upgrade their own skills, we thought they're having scope now to work in the avenue of special education. So they are now aligned to SDG 8, which talks about decent work and economic growth. So they are spending less on hiring a special educator when they themselves are capacitated to handle it themselves. SDG 9 on industry, innovation, and infrastructure, again, using the technology, because an online platform, which the tool has been created. And this is now, making the child more interested to learn with a lot of animations and online teaching pedagogies and all, making the child more interested to learn and grasp the concepts better. So we took SDG 9 as one of the reasons to align with. SDG 10, talking of inclusion and mainstreaming of special children, which again in India, we have got a lot of issues with that. We thought this aligning with SDG 10, where we are empowering the special children and providing remedial education as well. Again, tying up with organizations like IIT has sponsored the entire online program, we thought SDG 17 is aligned with. Like this, for any program, it's maybe a simple online teaching platform, but still we found that program being aligned with 6 of the SDGs. And it is not only an impressive factor, but also it aligns or makes a person who has supported this particular program realize the worth of the entire effort that they put in for this. This is one example. I will leave this PowerPoint behind for you all to read. We don't have much time, I know. This is another project where they provided a home for the homeless, microcredit, women training programs, school training programs, job fairs for the youth. So for each of these, we identified SDGs which align with. So as you see, end hunger and no poverty, any of the programs you have, most of them align with no poverty and ending hunger, right? But then when we have health programs, when you have women empowerment programs, you can have specific SDGs being highlighted. So when you have job fairs, again, it goes to economic growth, and then the women empowerment and the microcredit and reducing inequalities are aligned over there. So this is a sample. I want to quickly show an interesting worksheet which we came up. It's unfortunate Lata is not here with me to share this. I will show this now. So this matrix we have evolved, putting all the indicators as per the OECD framework. And here, when we do our trainings, what we do is we ask the participants, you identify for your own organization whether any of these goals align with the work you do. So they have to just type in a yes or a no. Suppose they type a yes here, and then they say they type a yes here, and then they move on to the second sheet, where in each of these specific, goals, you have indicators and sub-indicators. So they have to just say a 1 for whichever is appropriate, okay, for whichever goal they align with. We said 1 and 3, right? So when I go and say here, so sub-indicators, all these are aligned with, I have a consolidated worksheet which tells me, can you see here that these are the goals which my organization is aligned with. So it's a quicker reference material, a deeper understanding. And now when we go back to our reporting, we just go and report on SDG, whichever is marked more than 0. So this is a simple tool which we have evolved in-house. And this training which we recently done 2 days ago on social impact practitioner, we taught this. And now we have 6 out of the 10 participants wanting to do SDG reporting as part of the social accounts. So people also want to get more interesting tools and methods to write their reports and also engage themselves, because we have been writing reports back and forth, and many are having more than 6-7 assignments in a year. So what is new, or what is making the entire task interesting is what is now being the challenge during the COVID scene. So that is how we have been trying to do a lot of online research and get into new methodologies of getting the entire reporting process interesting. That's it from me. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, I can clarify. I'll definitely share all these worksheets and the reference materials to you all, and look forward to more such discussions.
Oh, thank you so much, Banu, because once again, you share very generously your experiences and the tools and practices that that you are using yeah, I feel every time we meet, we've got more tools. You know, it's an excellent resource for us to be able to share. So thank you for sharing those with us. And I think it's something from a UK perspective that we can really learn from. About this SDG
if you're interested,
alignment.
We can even have an exclusive 1-hour session on SDG alignment reporting. If you are interested, we can do a 1-hour session, case studies being given in break, asking them to evolve the SDG alignment, and then coming out with their own reporting. We did that recently, it worked out very well. If you're looking at something and an exclusive SDG reporting for your team, we are willing to do that pro bono for any time you want us to do.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you so much. And I say one of the things that we have gained from today already is at least 2 topics for future networking events and developing it and building our best practices. Okay, so I think our bandwidth seems to be okay again, if you want to turn on your cameras. And if I may invite any questions for either Matthew or Penny, or indeed Banu, best on the presentations, or any comments. Okay. So Adrian's sharing with us that we've had direct experience of aligning the UN Sustainable Development Goals, and how that actually helped provide a context to make sense. Was that fair representation of what you're saying, Adrian? Yeah, thank you. You know, it's one of these.
Sorry.
Yes, Amy. Yeah.
No, I only wanted to tell Matthew that keeping people bubbling along is a really achievable goal. I really like that phrase, and I feel like it's just the most we can ask for at the moment, including ourselves. Just keep ourselves bubbling along, and concentrate on now. So I liked that.
Thank you, Amy. Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Amy. I'm glad that sort of resonated. It does feel like a major achievement just at the moment, doesn't it?
Can I just ask a question then? So we're a really small organisation, and we've produced an impact report the last 2 years for 2 of our projects. And that's really us asking, we use a questionnaire and do some sort of group feedback sessions, asking for feedback on, I suppose, the objectives that we've set ourselves. But it's not part of any, you know, it doesn't link to any kind of framework, or I don't think it's easy to sort of maybe fit with say corporations, or, you know, maybe funders, I don't know. And I've just seen that somebody Adrian is talking about the UN SDGs. Is that something that's commonly used, or because we need something that's, you know, relatively simple and you know, can be used with very little resources?
It is actually very simple to report on the SDGs, because now you have all your outcomes mapped already as part of the SAN framework. So you have to just link the outcomes with the SDGs.
Okay.
So if you're looking at it at a complex level, it is, yes, a bit difficult to comprehend. But when you're already doing the impact map as part of a social accounting and audit framework, your reporting style, then you have to just pick up the outcomes or the impact large and then align it with the SDGs. So and it's a very interesting sort of an exercise. And the corporates or the client want to flash it also, saying that they align it to so many SDGs. And so it makes an added mark or an impact for the entire effort they have put in for a program. So donor reporting, the corporates, the CSR, and even the dashboard, the website, you see many of them reporting on the SDGs. So the trend is like they want to flash out on how many SDGs. So they want to say that they are working on the global agenda.
Okay. Okay.
I also
That's useful.
So thanks. Anne, do you want to come in there too?
So I just and this relates to something Adrian's put in the chat as well, but and I'm reflecting on a conversation that Gentra and I, Gentra's on the call, and I had yesterday, which was about when do you use these sorts, when do you use the SDGs? And I think what we came to the conclusion is that you need to start with what you're doing as an organisation. And part of the problem with some of the measurement tools is they start with a preloaded set of outcomes. But I think what Banu's talking about and what Gentra and I were talking about is you start with what you do in your organisation and the actions that you take, and then just follow this process of working out, okay, these actions have consequences. So what are the outcomes that are achieved directly by the things that we're doing, and then any likely bigger impact, and map that against the SDGs or against the Greater Manchester Framework.
Anne, you've gone on to mute. Anne, you still on mute? Ask to unmute. This is what Anne gets for muting you earlier, Adrian. There we go.
Somebody's muted.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's the problem with having co-hosts. We can all mute each other.
Okay.
Sorry, I don't know where I was up to, but I was just saying that really we need to use these once you've done your impact map. So once you've done something that works out the difference that your organization is making, and you understand the outcomes you're looking for from the work that you do, and then compare them with the frameworks. So like the Greater Manchester Social Value Framework, or like the SDGs or something like this. I've just posted into the chat, and what we've looked at in Greater Manchester is a social value framework for the post-COVID world. So 6 high-level priorities of things that we're trying to work with any organisation to take action on. This hasn't been launched yet, so you probably won't find it by Googling it. Some of you I know have seen it, but just an idea of trying to get this as being action focused in your organisation. And I think what the people in India are doing is exactly the same, is trying to make some, it tries to help you understand and what's important in what you're doing, and things like that. So yeah, it was just sort of pick up about, it's about when you use the things, not, you don't just start with the SDGs, if you know what I mean. The SDGs help you understand alignment and difference and importance and value and things like that. That makes sense.
Can I just make an observation?
Yes.
Just I sense from Amanda's question, though, that she's wanting to scale down anything that's complicated, and quite right too. For a small organisation, we've got loads of examples of social accounting really being scalable, and I think too much talk of processes and so on from us, it makes us feel like a daunting methodology, when really those of us who've done this a few times know that it really isn't that daunting, and it isn't that time consuming, and that even when you're quite a small organization, it can be just the right tool. So I guess I'm just empathizing with, I think, where Amanda's feeling some doubts maybe that the process can apply in her organisation. I don't know. Come back at me by all means.
I don't, it's not that I doubt that it can be applied. I suppose it's just, we're a really small organisation, so we're 2 part-time workers and 4 services, and run by, volunteer board of directors. So I think we do really well to produce an impact report each year. It is a lot of work, but I'm also quite conscious that it's probably about, I don't know, maybe it's 6 or 7 pages long. So we send it, to employers or to new contacts, and then I kind of think, well, is anyone reading this? How do we make it really accessible, and how do we make it fit with what they're doing? And everyone's doing different things. So I think we've made a good start, but we need to kind of, we'll do it again next year. We need to step up again now and make it, I think, more accessible and really.
Yeah, I think that makes sense to me. I will just respond and say that I don't set out for our impact report, our social accounts, to fit with anything. And I'd be an advocate to say, plough your own furrow, tell your own story. It will, rather than try and make it conform with somebody else's expectation of what an impact report should look like. That's just me, probably a maverick.
That's what I was going to say.
No, I think you're right. Sorry.
Important to do first, and then compare it to a framework later. I think that was really good advice, what Anne said before.
Okay, thank you, Amy. Thank you, Matthew, and thank you, Amanda. If anyone does want, just to follow up or explore just what it might mean to apply the SAN principles or the SAN approach, please do email us, and we can always have a conversation and take things forward that way to be able to share information. I'm very conscious of time, and I think it's really interesting now that we've had so much interaction, but I just would like to thank you all and hand over to my colleague Karen to finish off the session. Thanks.
Hi, thanks everyone. Just wanted to get some final thoughts from everyone, really, just give you an opportunity to give us a little bit of feedback as well. So I'm going to do something I've not tried before, called a chat wave. So this is where I'm going to post a question in the chat, and then I'm going to give you about 30 seconds to respond. But don't post your response straight away. I'm going to tell you when, and then everyone will post their responses at the same time, and we should get a nice wave of feedback. So there's 4 questions. So the first one is, tell us one key message that you'll take away from our speakers today, or indeed from anything that you've heard today, really. So I shall post that question now. And write your response, but don't post it. I'll tell you when to do that in a minute.
It's so hard not to accidentally press send. Really hard because it's instinctive.
It is. Okay, if everyone would like to post their response now, please. Lovely. I'm not going to pull any of these out because we've probably not got time, but we will be obviously recording all the comments in the chat, and we'll take those away and have a good look. Great to see those responses there. The next question is, tell us one thing that you will change or start doing as a result of taking part in today's session. I'll post that.
Karen? It's just to say, I think everyone can save the chat for themselves, or at least I'll save it anyway, so that to make sure we've got the record.
Yeah. Okay, if everyone's had a chance to write the response down, if you'd like to post those now. Fab, thank you very much. The next question is, do you have any questions that went unanswered? Is my question posted there? I can't see it. No. There we go. Oh, several times. Okay, if you'd like to respond now, please. Final question. Don't know why my questions aren't going in there. I'll read it out anyway. Is there anyone you've met today that you would like to continue the conversation with? That's the final question for you, if you'd like to write that in. There we go. And then you can respond now. Perhaps we can hook you up with the people who you've put in there. Or if you can, if you've got people's contacts on Twitter or whatever, then, you know, drop them a line. Yes, Anne, hi.
I'm just going to say, if I was going to email out the slides later on, is everyone happy, or shall we say, is anybody unhappy with having their email address shared with everyone else on the call? If you're not, let me know, or put something in the chat to say you don't want to. But if not, I will email everyone out, and then you can pick each other off later on. If you haven't already connected on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, or whatever mechanism you use normally to contact people.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for taking part in that. Looking forward to reading through that shortly. And just remains to say thank you very much for everyone who's joined in today. I hope you've all got something to take away, and we'll be no doubt in touch with some further opportunities to bring everyone together in our short little networking sessions that we've been holding. Does anybody else want to come in and say anything? No, just bye-bye and thank you. Take care, everyone.
Bye, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
We're all still here.
Bye.
Oh, you're not.
Nice to see you, Anne. Bye.
That was good. Well
And
done.
then there were 4. That was great. Well done.
I particularly like that bit at the end, Karen. That worked really well.
Yeah, I don't know why my questions weren't, when I was typing the questions in, they weren't going into the chat box, which was a bit annoying. I don't know why. But anyway, it seemed to work okay, didn't it?
That was at some pace, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We really went through a lot in a very short time.
Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? It actually feels like when you're online, you get through less.
Mm.
You know, you need longer for everything almost.
Yeah.
But I hope it didn't feel too rushed.
I thought the presentations were great, very relevant and diverse.
Yeah, I think so. And the chat and everything, people liked them. There was a real appreciation, and I think,
Yes.
and actually having a, you know, I think having that small group and being able to see everyone on the screen, you know, was good. I know. So I think it was positive. I think there is something there. There's direct contacts to be made. So that's great. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Wow.
Yeah, thanks, Anne. Thanks for.
Yeah, thanks, Anne. You really, you know, structured that and pulled that together really well. And your presentation really set the tone for the discussions.
Did.
So I've saved the chat. So that's good. We've got a recording. Right. I'll do an email out. That's good. I enjoyed that. It's a shame.
Yeah.
It's difficult, isn't it? It's like you sort of you come to the end of that, you think, right, we need to do more, and then you're like, we just don't have time to do too much more. But it would be good, and if Banu is offering to do a session on SDGs, I think there is something about them understanding where things like that fit in.
Yeah.
I do get really worried, and whoever put it in the chat was Dave, wasn't it, about some of these impact frameworks, and Adrian as well, that people are just picking a tool and starting with that, not actually thinking about what they do. They're starting at the wrong end.
Yes. Yes. But it was good you picked up on that, and that was you know, that you showed the way to use it, turn it on its head. I think that was really important that you picked up on that quickly.
Maybe we could do a session that was about the SDG goals, but also we front end that with a section on where to begin, and like, you know, do a double header with Banu maybe.
That sounds good.
Because it wasn't long ago we did our main gathering on SDGs, if you remember. I'm not sure how many years ago that was.
I went to, I think, yeah.
Three years ago.
Poverty one, wasn't it?
Yeah,
started with poverty. Yeah.
I was just looking at that this morning. I was sharing you remember the animation, the video that we had? Just sharing that with colleagues this morning. So that was, I think that's 3 years ago now.
Yeah, I think it's 3.
17, yeah. Yeah.
Gosh.
Okay.
No,
good.
Thank
good.
You.
Okay, thank you. And yeah, learned new things there. Okay, well, nice to see you all. And it's time for lunch.
Yes.
Have a break.
It is.
Okay. All right. Take care, everyone. Nice to see you.
Bye.
Cheers.
Well done, guys. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.